I have to say, and I've said this before publicly, but Martin Luther King Jr. said that men, and I'll say men and women, tend to hate each other because they fear each other. And they fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because they don't talk. So it is my honor and our officers' honor to be here with you today, because this is where we need to have these conversations and dialogue, however difficult they are to hear. So why did I become a police officer? Well, I usually take that in two parts. Why did I become a police officer and why San Jose? First of all, I became a police officer. I became a police officer at 21 years old. Why? Because I thought it was a very fun job to do. And you know what? Almost 23 years later, it's still a very enjoyable job to do. The other reason I did it is because I wanted to help people, and I wanted to solve people's problems. And that's why I became a police officer. Why San Jose? Well, I am Latino. I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I learned how to speak English in San Jose. So to me, being in San Jose meant something, and that's how I like to think and model my life and my career as I come through the ranks. How do I feel when you have interact with community members? Well, I'll tell you this. The way I had interaction with community members when I was a 21-year-old recruit in the FTO program is completely different as I sit here today as an assistant chief 23 years later. I have 1 minute left? Oh. All right. So my interaction has changed based on my experiences as I've gone up. One thing that people need to understand that we do when we're in the academy and we're being taught constantly, the number one priority that we have really is to get home safe, because we are fearful. Okay, we don't want to lose our lives in the line of duty, as we have seen recently, and that is a fear that's true that we live with. How I've been taught to think about and interact with people of color and young people. Well, a lot of it is my upbringing. I am a person of color. So I like to think that I like to be treated, quite frankly, in the manner in which, or I'd like to treat others really in the manner in which I'd like to be treated myself. And I need to pass that on to my officers as well. What are my fears and how do they affect the way you interact with community members, especially young people of color? Well, quite frankly, as I mentioned, our fears as officers is to the fact that we may have to lose our life in the line of duty. That is one of our fears, and it's a true fear. But one of the things we have to remember, that we're in communities where we're called upon to serve, that we need to have that community trust. And we need to start seeing each other, and we need to continue to see each other. So when we're in those communities and we see someone of color or any individual, that we just don't see them in that community as a possible criminal or someone who's breaking the law, but that we see them as, a dad. We see him as a son. We see him as a future doctor, as a future assistant chief of police. But it works two ways, because they need to see me and they need to see my officers as a dad, as a football coach, as someone who just made dinner for his family and came to work a midnight shift. And the more that we can see each other like that, I think the better we'll be. One thing I will say, no one despises a bad cop more than a good cop. I will tell you that right now. Do biases exist? They exist. Okay? We hire from the human race. Our job is to make sure that we don't act upon the biases that we have. We have those issues and we'll deal with them. But we are a professional organization, and I'm here to tell you, and I apologize I went over my time, but there's not a member of this department, and I'm sorry I'll get idealistic, that if he or she were called upon, that would not lay down their life for this community. Thank you.